Challenge is change. Challenge is change. When you challenge yourself, you change. The problem is that most people, they will challenge themselves for a little bit and then they'll stop and they'll go back to what's familiar. Guys, if you have ever wanted to be a better version of you, listen up, man. Everybody deep down inside wants to be a better version of them. They really do. You know, I just think that a lot of people fear becoming that version of them. They fear that they're going to fail. They fear that they're going to go for it. They're going to get judged. They're scared of what people are going to say about them if they actually become a better version of them. And so if you guys ever if you deep down inside want to be a better version of you, listen up, because I want to share something with you guys that will help you stay on track, will help you stay consistent, will help you become more confident, will help you become the next version of you, the one that's deep down inside you know you can be, okay? The better husband, the better father, the better leader, the better human being, the one that makes more money, that's in better shape, the one that's a better communicator, the one that's more articulate, the better, more intelligent. Like, the better version of you is totally achievable to attain, okay? Look back on your life. Look back on your life. Look back at when you were a kid. Look back on the last 5 years. Look back on the last 10 years and ask yourself, knowing what you know now, could you have done a better job? Could you have become better along the way? Because the chances are, if you look back, you'll realize that you were holding yourself back. You weren't really truly challenging yourself to become the next version of you. You could have been more aggressive. You could have taken more risks. You could have trusted and bet on yourself even more. The problem in life is that people don't like to be changed, but people love to change. Like, if I tell you to change, you don't like that. Probably. But deep down, you want to change. So how do we create everlasting change in our life? Fuck, man. There was two things that stand out to me on this topic. You know, a lot of people will decide to create a big change in their life, and then they'll go right back to where they fucking came from, man. They'll tuck their tail and they'll run. If you're going to change, you're going to have to shed the skin of who you are and become somebody new. You're going to have to, turn into that butterfly. Like, you're going to have to be the snake that sheds its skin and renews itself. You're going to have to shed the old version of you and become the new version of you. But in order to break away from who you've been, you have to be consistent at going after who you want to be. A loser motherfucker will give up. Losers quit on themselves. That's what they do. When things get tough, they quit. So guys, 2 times in my life where I wanted to fucking quit because I started to stretch myself, I started to grow, and I wanted to tuck my tail and run the other way. 2 simple times. When I went from enlisted soldier to officer, that was challenging for me, okay? I don't know what you're going through, but if you're trying to stretch your identity, do something completely different than you've ever done before. Maybe you make the decision that you're going to go for it, and then along the way, you start second guessing yourself. And that happened to me. I went green to gold, dropped the Army's green to gold packet, decided to go from enlisted to officer, and as I started going back to school, I wanted to be an infantry officer. I wanted to be an operator. I wanted to be in special operations, but I started to gravitate towards a traditional path. I was setting myself up when I went to school to have a plan B. Okay, so basically, when I did green to gold, I went to school and I was like, yeah, I want to be in the Army. I want to commission, become an infantry officer, become an officer, and then after I become an officer, I want to become like an operator. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to protect myself in case I don't like being an officer in the Army, and I'm going to pick a degree that I can use when I get out. And so I was like, I'm going to study architecture. That's not really what I wanted deep down per se. It's just what I thought made the most sense. And what I really wanted, I wanted to be an infantry officer, and I wanted to be in special operations. But what I had started to do was I didn't really believe that I could become an infantry officer. I didn't believe I could get into special operations. So I started gravitating towards a backup plan. Started gravitating towards doing something that I could use outside of the military, become an architect. And I caught myself a couple months into the Green to Gold program realizing that I was starting to settle. I was going back to what I was familiar with. Like what I was familiar with, the old version of me, always chose a path that met other people's expectations. So when I went back to school, I thought that architecture made sense because I could get a stable job after the military, and I think that everybody else would think that's a respectable degree, and that's a respectable job. But it's not what I really wanted. What I really wanted, infantry operator, and I wanted to study the human body. I really liked the kinesiology, exercise science, clinical health, physical therapy. I love that shit. So it took me a second, but I didn't even realize at this point in time that I was quitting on myself when I was choosing to go to be an architect, okay? But I was picking a path that I was familiar with, one that made a lot of sense to me, not going after what was in my heart. But I course corrected, got back on track. I said, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna study kinesiology, I'm gonna study exercise science, I'm gonna study the human body. I love the human body. I love everything to do with physiology. Let's go that route. And so I did. And then the next thing that happened is I applied for the 75th Ranger Regiment. Now, right after I went and did BRC, Best Ranger Competition, I applied for it. And when it came time to submit my packet, my application for special operations, I almost backed out there. And then when I made it through the Ranger Assessment Selection Program. And when I got approved to come to the unit, when I got there, I felt like I didn't belong there. And I thought maybe I should find a way out. Like maybe I shouldn't be here. Guys, don't put me on the line. Keep me on staff or kick me out. I don't deserve to be here. But I stayed the course. Okay? And because I stayed the course, because I continued to pursue what was in my fucking heart, life tends to get out of the way for those people that know what they want. I knew what I wanted. I just battled with the belief that I could get it. And so I challenged myself every step of the way, guys, and that's what you can start doing to become the next version of you. When I decided to stay the course, when I went Green to Gold, when I decided to stay the course, when I dropped my packet for the 75th, when I decided to stay the course, when I got to the regiment and accept the duties and responsibilities that my boss gave me and not shy away from them, those challenges molded me. Those challenges turned me in to the next version of me. When I got out of the military, I dove headfirst into entrepreneurship. I was out of the military within 4 months after I made the decision. It was fast. I transitioned relatively smoothly compared to a lot of people. I had a great network that I could stand on. I had a business that was working for me that I loved. And I was proud of myself as the person I had become. But the only way that I ever got into that place, and this is what you guys can do, is that you have to consistently challenge yourself, yes, but you have to stay consistent at the path that takes you to the best version of you. There's nothing more common than people that are consistent at the wrong things. Show me a guy who's consistent at tasks that don't improve his life. Show me a guy that's consistent at ordinary things, and I'll show you a man that has an ordinary life. In order for you to become the next version, you guys have to become consistent at the right things. You have to become consistent at the things that stretch you and make you uncomfortable. Staying the course, building the habits that are in alignment with the person that you want to be. Because I'll tell you this, if you're chasing something, you're chasing an outcome, you want something, you're chasing the wrong thing. What you should be chasing is who? Who do you want to be? Because once you get clear about who you want to be, you detach from the result and you realize that the fucking 24 hours that you're in right now holds all of the opportunity for you to become the next best version of you. Challenges change, guys. In order for you to become that next version of you, you have to stay the course, you have to stay consistent, but you have to stay consistent at the right things, the things that fucking challenge you. That's the message. That's the message that you need. I appreciate you guys. Let's fucking go. Conquer all.